I'm Tina Howard. Welcome back to Community Conversations. This week I have a fun guest with me. She wears an awful lot of hats, and we're going to get to all of them. Today we have Pastor Gail Blackwell. Welcome.
Thank you, Tina.
Now, I want to call you Pastor Blackwell, but I would like to call you Miss Gail, like I have before, if that's okay.
Yes, that is just fine.
All right, good. Now, I first met you. I had heard your name for a long time because I've been involved with the Chamber and the DDA, and this name, Gail Blackwell, kept coming up, and I kept thinking, now, is that Gail Cleveland? Is that Gail Morris? Is that Gail? And everybody kept going, no, it's Gail Blackwell, and I could never figure out how many times I heard your name and didn't know who you were. So finally, we met when you were in the Leadership Heart class.
Yes.
And this was maybe a year ago that I met you there, and I learned a little bit about you in a day, and I was blown away how many things you do and how involved you are in this community.
Thank you.
So we're going to get started on all of that. So let me tell you first how you might know Pastor Gail Blackwell. First, you might know her as a pastor at Trinity Outreach Baptist Church.
Yes.
More of you might know her as Gail Blackwell, Community Resource Coordinator for the 9th District Opportunity.
Yes.
So there's a lot more than that, but we can start with just those two. Now, Trinity Outreach Baptist Church, is that here in Hart County?
Yes, it's located on 152 Peachtree Street in Hartwell.
And you are a pastor.
Yes, I'm a pastor.
And not everybody knows that.
Right.
And how long have you been a pastor?
I've been pastor at Trinity for 8 years.
Wow. They must like you there, and you must like them.
I love my past congregation.
Oh, that's good.
I love them. I do.
That is great. And you're a very active church.
Yes, we are. Try to stay involved in the community as much as we can.
That's great. Now, when I became acquainted with you at the Leadership Heart, you brought up a number of issues that are happening in Hart County that most people really don't know about. We've got poverty, yes. We've got hunger, we've got food insecurity.
Yes. And
the difference in hunger and food insecurity, you can explain this better than I am sure. People think, oh, nobody's hungry here in Hart. Well, yeah, they are.
Yes.
And there are those that have food, but it's not nutritious food.
Right.
And their nutrition needs are not being met. Okay. And that's the food insecurity part of it. Do you face some of that as the Community Resource Director in the 9th District?
Yes, we do here as well, because for some reason, a lot of times we think poverty is not in our own neighborhoods, which it is. But there are resources that are available for our families, which we try to give them the information so they can access these resources to help with the insecurity that is taking place. We have several food pantries, plus we have several food ministry that deliver food to families as well.
Oh, that's wonderful, because a lot of times when you have the food insecurity or the lack of food, you often have the lack of transportation too.
Right, yes. So, for instance, we have a food ministry that I am chairperson of the board of Hart Community Food Ministry. We give out food once a month. Well, we were giving out twice a month, but funds got a little low, so we had to kind of cut down a little bit. So we still give out food once a month to over 30-something families here.
30-something families
in Hartwell
depend on that. Wow, goodness.
And plus, within the school, we have the Backpack for Kids, which is the weekend program. I just heard about
that the other day. That's fantastic.
And also, during the summer, they have the summer food program where kids can come get a meal every day at different sites in the community, which is a good program.
That is a good program, because a lot of people don't realize it, but most kids get their big meal at school.
Yes.
And then they're not sure when they get home if they'll have anything. Now, explain the Backpack program.
The Backpack program is a program that it started out with Hart Community Food Ministry, but we turned it over to Crystal Closet, where they could work the program. It's a program where food is in a backpack, and the child carry it home on the weekend during the school time. During the school year on a Friday.
During the school year, yes. They'll say, at the end of the day, maybe they'll
pick their backpack up.
pick up the backpacks and send
carry
those
it home.
back home
Yes,
with
and
the
they'll
kids.
have food for the weekend.
That's an amazing program.
It is. It really is.
Because a lot of the kids, we don't think about it because if you don't see it or you don't experience it
Right.
firsthand, you may not know. But a kid going home on a Friday, most kids think, woohoo, weekend.
Right.
Not a lot of
No.
kids think that
No, they don't.
because their structure is gone once
Right.
they leave that school building.
Correct. And a
And
lot
so
of
that's a
them at home
wonderful-
hungry
Yeah,
and
Yeah.
not
It'll be
knowing how
Monday.
they're going to survive.
right.
But that program helps
That's
them to
amazing.
be able to have a nutritious meal. Not
What's
just,
so nice to me about the backpack program, it is, a kid carrying a backpack is, there's no stigma in that.
Right, no.
It's awesome.
Correct. They think it got books in it.
Right.
Don't know it got food in it.
So you're not singling out
Right.
some child to have to endure the bus and the taunting and walking home, with people going, oh,
Right.
I think that's a marvelous program.
It is. It is, because that's not drawing attention to that child.
Right. That child
They
does
just think
not
it's an
need
ordinary book bag
Right.
with books in it,
that. Brilliant.
and not knowing that baby's lunch is in there.
That's right. That's
So
right.
it's amazing.
Who thought that up?
Well, I think it's a national program because I've seen other counties that does the same program. So it comes from the national U.S. Department of Agriculture.
That makes sense. That would make sense. That's very smart. Whoever that, somebody really thought that all the way
Yes,
through.
they did.
And then you mentioned the summer programs.
Right. The summer programs it comes on the USDA also.
Okay.
That summer program is operated out of someone in the Livonia area
Okay.
now. They're the one who is in charge of distributing that food during the summertime. But in the community, you have different locations where churches are just like the housing complex. They have places inside each housing complex that
Okay.
is able to set up for the
receive.
kids to come to get the food. It's different locations all over the community.
That's good.
Yeah, it's just
Once
not
again, transportation is an issue.
right, and where kids can even walk
Yeah.
to the area, just like above where the Head Start Center is, where my office is.
Okay.
The church there, First Baptist, kids can walk there from the community.
Now let me ask you a question. A lot of people would say, this is a great economy. Anybody that wants to work can work. Why would we have poverty in Hart County?
Right.
And the answer, of course, there's a myriad of reasons why. What do you see the most of? What are some of the things the kids are facing? Sick parents?
For as probably with the kids, well, I don't think it's just sick parents, because most of our parents are between the ages of 40 and 30 and 20.
Yeah, so they're not teenagers.
So there's
and
not
yeah.
the sick age group.
Okay.
Sometimes it's transportation,
Okay.
lack of
Yeah.
that. If you get a job, how you gonna get there
Right.
if you don't have transportation?
Right.
It's a lot of people that do not have transportation, and people don't really know that.
Right.
They think everybody have a car.
Right.
But everybody don't have a car.
No.
And so that is one issue that
And
is-
even if you have a car, you may not have the money to insure it,
right, or gas.
repair it,
Yes.
or put gas in it.
Right. And that is a problem.
Yeah, it can be a
And you
big
can't
problem.
depend on somebody else to get you somewhere,
Right.
because they may not want to go to work that day.
That's right.
And then you lost your job.
That's right.
So there is an area. We do have jobs in Hart County. Great. I love it.
Yes.
Because we do. We have all kind of jobs and all kinds are still coming in.
Yes.
So, and they are good jobs. That is, so I'm praying that we get transportation. We need transportation. And it's just not in Hart County. We work 13 service areas plus 8 outside of our region for assistance that we serve in 9th District. And every county have the same issue.
Oh, really?
Transportation
That's the big
is a
issue.
issue.
See, I
Transportation and
wouldn't have thought
housing.
that. I wouldn't have thought transportation and housing. I would have thought maybe physical illnesses, mental illnesses, other challenges where somebody may be in the military or somebody may have to take a job someplace else and leave the child with someone else. I never really thought about, you're talking about basics.
Transportation and housing is the issue. Housing is the worst issue.
That's tough because a lot of the available housing may be way out in places
Yes, or unaffordable.
or unaffordable.
And that's the problem.
And we really don't have many rental units
No.
in Hartwell.
That's another problem.
Yeah, it is. And I know that Nikki Meyer at the Chamber
yes.
was really trying to push that housing initiative in Hartwell, and she was so dedicated to that.
Yes.
Let's back up a minute and talk about you. You are a Hartwell native, is that right?
Yes, I am. Born and raised.
And Blackwell's your married name, but Stowers is your maiden name.
Yes.
Now, I said right before the show, you have a lot of peeps. There's a lot of people here in the Stowers family.
It is.
That's a blessing to have so many, isn't it?
It is, yes.
That's good. So you grew up here, and when you were a little girl, did you grow up in town, or were you out in the country?
In the
on a farm?
country.
Were you?
In the country.
Did y'all have a farm?
Yeah, well, yes, it's a farm. My granddad was on one end, and we was up the hill, played in the dirt, run up and down the hill barefooted, played in the creek. I tell my kids now, we used to play in the creek. The creek's still down there.
Funny.
They like, you used to play on the creek. I'm like, yes. That was our fun.
That's your playground.
That was it. We didn't have a gym set.
No.
The only gym set we had was a tire hanging from the tree.
You were lucky you had the tire.
Yes.
Most people just had the tree, and you'd have to climb up in the tree.
I was swinging from the rope.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
So yes, I was born and raised in the country.
Were you surrounded by cousins? Was it a family type, extended family?
Yes, it is. Cousins.
Gosh, I can't think of anything better.
Yes, all the area which is located behind Tenneco.
Okay, you were close in then. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's all grown up now.
Yeah, it was my granddad, his brother, his dad.
Okay.
All of them was there.
Wow.
So all of that was where we was at.
That's
cousins,
nice.
First cousins, yeah.
Y'all were close enough to town too. If you want, I guess you could.
Yeah, you could walk to town. Yeah.
You were a kid and you couldn't drive. You could walk in.
Yeah, my brother used to walk all the time.
That's nice.
He still walked town.
What do you remember about Hartwell back then?
Well, we know back then it was segregation. I mean, that was everywhere. He was in the South.
Right.
That's
right.
That was part of life.
Right.
I do remember times where everybody had to use certain things. Everything was separated.
See, we don't like to think about that.
No,
but we need to think about that.
It's life.
It was life.
It's a part of life. It's a part of growing up.
So explain that. When you'd come to town.
If you come to town and you needed to go into a restaurant or the drugstore, whatever, it was everybody used the same door. There's a door for color, a door for white.
And that was as recent as the 1950s.
That 1954, because that's when I was born, but I was a baby then. So
were you aware at that point that was?
As I got older.
Were you aware at that point when you were little? It wasn't until you got older that you went, wait a minute.
Right. Because a child, you don't pay any attention.
No, you don't.
You just happy.
Yeah.
You don't know what's going on.
Well, you were probably insulated a little bit from the world.
Right.
On your
family. Because we didn't go to town every day.
Yeah.
You only went to town on a Sunday or a Saturday when you went to visit your other grandparents that lived in town on the other side of the country.
Right.
So that was your fun day on a Sunday. After church, you load everybody up in the car and you go visit.
Yeah.
And that was your day.
What they did on Sundays.
Yeah, that was it. So that was our fun day. But as you grow up and start to school, then you see things change.
Then you see things. You become closer with people who are not like you.
Right.
They don't look like you. They don't act like you. They grew up in a different place than you, and you suddenly start noticing. So when you started school, where did you go?
I went to Hart County Training School.
So you went to the training school.
Yes.
And we talked a little bit about that. The preparedness that they had for their students was just amazing.
Yeah.
They had a pretty comprehensive program at the training school.
Yes.
I learned a lot of this from Ms. Loretta King, so I know a little bit about that.
Yes.
Did you enjoy the training school?
I did. I enjoyed the training school. I mean, we only had one school, and that was it. And I did enjoy it. I went there for 11 years.
Were you good in school? Were you a good student?
I was a good student in school.
That's good.
I really was.
Yeah.
Not bragging, but
No.
I was. I'm not gonna say I never got into anything, but I got my homework. I made A's.
And nobody had to worry about it. Well, you know, you were around your peers, your cousins. So, you know, I think kids that do not grow up around family and close friends have it a little harder when they have to start learning to read, because nobody they knew, you know, they know all adults or whatever. But that was good that you jumped in with both feet and you started. Were you active in sports or band or?
No, not band. Sports. I in high school played sports, but wasn't able to play because back then, if you got more than one sibling, everybody couldn't play sport. Somebody had to stay at home and babysit, while the other one did what they had to do. So, especially we had younger siblings. So, I had an older sister that was older than I was, and she was she played basketball.
Okay.
I played for probably 1 year, but then I had a heart murmur, so I had to stop.
Oh, goodness.
But I played softball, which was rec, and I loved it. Great at softball.
Where you were in playing softball and when you were in the training school, did you ever compete against other teams, other white teams, or did you compete against the Hart County High School? It was all totally segregated.
It was totally segregated.
Okay.
Yes.
And do you remember, did you have any friends that went to the Hartwell High School or the Hart County High School or any other school around? Or did everybody that you associated with stay in the training school?
Everybody associated with from the training school.
That's amazing, because I think a small town, everybody would know everybody, but that was not the case at that point.
No, I didn't have any white friends, period. Not then, not until 1970, when total immigration occurred in Georgia.
Yeah.
And that was 1970 when full integration took place. And we graduated from Hart County High School in 1971. Actually, I told this in our leadership Hart class.
Okay.
They didn't know that. I told them, actually, that's history to me, because our class was the first class that actually graduated as a full integration in 1971. And I see, made history.
You did?
Yes, and people don't know
Y'all ought to
that.
have T-shirts made.
People don't know that.
No, they
They
don't,
forget it. People forget things like that, but to me that's important.
It is important.
Yes.
It is important. And because I thought the first integrated class was 66, but it was a process. Now, I didn't know that, because you just taught me something I didn't know, because I thought 1 year there was segregation and the next year there was integration, but that's not true.
We had a few kids that had went over to the high school, maybe one or two previous years, but it wasn't required that everybody go. But in
it was a choice at
1970,
that point.
everybody had to go. It was no longer a separate school system in Hartwell.
So it makes me wonder, for the few people that did decide to, it sounds like they had a choice,
They did.
how brave must they have been
They was brave.
to walk over there, be the first ones? Those were some brave people.
Yes, they were. They were.
What was the thinking from your classmates when, were y'all like, don't do that? Or were you like, let me know what it's like? Or what were you thinking when they,
And I would have to think
or
back.
were you too young? Because you weren't quite in.
60-something, I probably was in, I graduated 71.
So you
That was
weren't
like
even.
10 years later.
you were-
Oh, no, I didn't know what to think then.
No,
probably.
you were
I just
unaware.
knew it happened, and I knew one that was with me went also. Which, I was kind of afraid for him to go, because I didn't know what was going to happen. You know what I'm saying?
I do. It's fear of the unknown.
Right.
Because if you compare Hartwell against the backdrop of the nation at that point, you would assume that they're walking into an unfriendly situation.
Right, correct. And you actually didn't know what was going to happen.
Right.
So, but I can't say I heard of anything bad happening.
Okay.
If I did, I don't forgot it.
Right.
But I cannot say that I heard of anything bad happening to those students that did go.
In my mind, people knew one another enough to know, but if you didn't, that would have really been awfully scary.
And I'm sure it was a little scary.
When I was in elementary school, integration had taken place, and this was in Atlanta, and the teachers were integrated along with the students. So I think that made for a more comfortable situation for a lot of the African American children that were coming into a previously white school,
Right.
because suddenly they looked at the teachers and they were represented.
Right.
So I thought that was a really smart thing for them to do.
Yeah, because when we went, everybody went. The teachers, they went also from the middle school, the high
that's good.
school to the elementary school. Everybody's integrated by then.
Everybody, so it was a
Yes.
big, everybody went in.
And you
Well,
knew
that's
the
good, too.
teachers that was there with you.
Well, the other thing, this was, kind of how my parents felt about it. It was a good thing for a white child to have an authority figure that was African American, because that was the new world, they knew that we were going to be working that way,
Right.
and we were going to have to learn how to, and they thought it was a good thing.
Yeah.
And apparently the same thing here. It sounds like, which is great. And as you say, that was not long ago.
Right. No,
That
it
was
wasn't.
really not long ago at all. Oh my gosh. And you want to take kids today by the shoulders and say, do not take this for granted.
Right.
Because there seems to be, at least when my kids were in the school system, they went from elementary all the way and graduated, there was an easy relationship between the races in the schools. And you just want to sit them down and go, do you know how hard won that
Right.
is? Do you appreciate this?
Correct.
Because they don't.
They don't know. They don't have a clue.
Which is
The
wonderful. on
struggle
one hand.
that took place between where they are now
Right,
than where their parents came from.
That's right.
They don't have a clue
right.
because they got it so easy. It was already there for them. So they don't know history,
Right,
and they need to know.
that's true.
They really do.
Something else I think is kind of interesting when our school integrated, our neighborhood did. This was in Decatur, and interestingly, the neighborhood integration went smoothly too. And we thought, oh, whew, this is good, because we were worried. You hear a
Right.
lot of things on the news, and then
Oh yeah.
and people got along.
Right.
And interestingly, a family moved in 2 houses down from us where my best friend had been, and she moved. And then when this family moved in, they were African American. They had a baby and a little boy who was my age. We were, I think, 8 maybe. And he and I met in class because we were in the same class together, and realized we were neighbors. We were so excited. His name was Jonathan. And one day after school, I said, why don't you come to my house? Let's get a snack and we'll play in the yard. And he goes, He said, my mama won't let me go to your house. He goes, why don't you come to my house and we'll get a snack and we'll play in the yard. And I said, my mama won't let me come to your house
Right.
either. And so we had to play at the house in the middle.
Right.
How funny is that?
I know.
But they didn't care. They didn't have any kids. They loved it. So. Kids have a way of figuring it out.
And they
but
do. Yeah.
My mother was afraid I
Right.
wouldn't be welcome. His mother was afraid he wouldn't be welcome.
Right.
So we played in the middle.
But now, you got
Now?
everybody's at everybody's house.
Everybody's at everybody's house.
Yes. Yes,
way
because
it ought to
my
be.
kids have had friends that are white. Spend night. They call me Mama Gail.
Yeah. They don't know the difference.
They don't know.
Yeah.
I treat
which
them
is-
like they're mine.
Wonderful.
Yes, and it is.
At the same time, you want to say, listen, this is good, but you know how hard won this is.
Right.
For people that came just before you.
Yes.
That much before you.
That's true.
Anyway, so you finished. That was pretty bold. You guys had to finish at the high school. Was it different?
It
Suddenly
was.
you had not only a different school that you had to go to, you had a gigantic class all of a
Yes.
sudden.
We did. It was a little different, a little adjusting, getting used to. I always laugh at the first year that I went. I left the 11th grade with the A average. And don't ask me what was in my brains when I went the following year for graduation. And I look at it, I'm like, was I crazy or what was I doing? I guess I thought, well, I don't have to do no work. I'm just gonna do this. Girl, like messed up the first semester. I was like, oh my God, this is not me.
Was it so many distractions?
I don't
or was
know
it different
what
curriculum, or
happened.
what
I was
it?
like, something right here. I had to refocus. I'm like,
Did your parents go,
girl, I was like, that thing scared me. I was like, oh my God, did I lose focus? I think I lost focus.
well,
I
you
guess
can't-
of the
okay.
transitioning and
I was
trying to
gonna say.
readjust and trying to fit in somewhere, but I
Listen,
hurried
it's
up and
hard.
got refocused.
It's hard to fit in if you're a new student anywhere.
It is.
But being a lot of new students put
Yes.
together against the backdrop of what was happening, that you cannot be blamed for being distracted.
Well, I was distracted. And I'll tell you one teacher that undistracted me.
Oh yeah?
Miss Marjorie Swilling, who I love dearly.
Her.
She looked at me and she said, now you know this is not working. I
she
said,
really?
yes ma'am, I do know that. From that day forward, not another failing grade that I have. I was like, this is not me. That was not me, I don't know. It was just, I think it was just the readjustment of trying to fit in somewhere.
Yeah.
Because that totally threw me off. And I look at that now and I'd be like, did I lose my mind for about a whole semester?
Well, you can't be blamed. I mean, a lot of people would lose their mind having to
Yeah.
change, those kind of changes so fast.
Right. And
Plus it being your senior year.
yes, and we didn't want to go. We wanted to graduate.
I'm sure you didn't.
We done been here 11 years. We wanted to stay and graduate. We were frustrated because
bet
we
you
did
were.
not want to go graduate somewhere else where we had been all of our life.
That's a shame.
Yeah, and that I think that's the part that threw us off. We was mad.
You didn't have a choice.
No. And inside we was mad and tore up, but still trying to deal with what to do and how we gonna be accepted here. But the teachers, they did help, and I thank God for them. And I'll never forget that.
Teachers don't realize the influence they have.
Some of them don't.
I remember Miss Swilling.
Yeah,
She was beautiful,
she was.
dressed to a T,
Yes,
and had that class just jumping.
yes.
She was on top of everything.
Most people thought she was so stern, but she was the sweetest thing. She was. But she meant business.
Yes, she did.
Yes, and she wanted what was best
Yeah.
for her
She pushed
students.
you.
She did. And I'll never forget that. I'm grateful for that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
really am.
Me too. I was glad I had her. I was glad I had her class. She taught some business classes when I was in school, and one of those business classes involved typing. And at the time, I'm in high school, and I'm thinking, I don't need to know this.
Right, yeah.
Can you imagine if you didn't know how to type today?
Oh.
That's all we do.
Me. And I was talking to somebody the other day. I said, well, I thank God I'm not the only one who had that mindset. I went in typing, got out of typing, didn't want no typing,
No.
never went back to typing.
No, really?
We were sitting there one day last week. I was like, I thank God I'm not the only one that did this. She said, no, I did the same thing. She said, I was in typing. I got out of typing, thought I wasn't going to need no typing.
Right.
Now I need typing, can't type a lick. So I just go like this. I said, well, baby, we all going like this.
Now you just need to go like this.
That was so amazing. I was like, I thank God I'm not the only one like that.
It's true. It's true. It served me well over the years for sure. Okay, so after high school, what'd you do after that? Graduated and just stick around here, or what did you do?
After high school, life started happening.
Uh-oh.
Well, I went to Savannah State the fall of that year.
Okay.
Never
That's
been
big.
anywhere. Wait, you ain't you ain't heard the story yet. I came back home. Went to Savannah that fall. Never been anywhere. Never left home. You're talking about 5 hours away.
That's a long way.
Got to Savannah. Oh my God, all the smell.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Sulfur smell and all
Thank
that.
God that place don't smell like that no more. Jesus.
They wouldn't have the
Oh
tourism.
my God, it used to make you
All those
sick.
paper plants.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Oh my God.
I remember that.
Stayed there until the winter quarter.
Okay.
You come home for Christmas.
Yeah.
I came home and didn't go back.
You said, I'm not going.
I didn't want to go back, but I didn't want to hurt Mom.
Oh, they were probably so proud of you.
You know what I did? Something crazy.
Uh-oh.
Got married, did not go back to school.
Did you?
I did.
Now, was this to a fellow that you had dated before
And I
you went
shouldn't
to
have.
Savannah? Oh, that kind of marriage.
That guy. That was just an escape.
Well,
And I made the biggest mistake in my life.
oh, shoot.
And I regret it. Because I should have stayed in school. Because I had a dream and I had a purpose.
Yeah.
I always wanted to do social work. But
Yeah.
then God got a way of turning things around.
That's true.
Because I ended up still doing what I love to do without even going to school for it. And that's nobody but God. But I still had that desire to go. And I messed it up, made a mistake. And I tell kids now, stay in school.
Maybe that perspective is important,
Yes,
maybe more than the diploma.
right.
So what do you think you were so scared of?
I don't know.
Was it just being in a different
just being in a different place, never left home, always around home.
We underestimate the transition when kids go
We
that
do.
far away to school.
We really do.
Huge transition.
It is.
And your parents were probably so proud of you.
Yes. Yes.
The only way that you could
Do it was to do something else.
to get married.
And that's what I thought. And I guess if I just talked to my mom, it'd have been all right.
Probably.
Yeah.
Gosh.
But we do crazy things sometimes, not even thinking about it.
Well, you were so young.
I was 17. I was
That is
17.
that's a baby.
My mom had to sign for me to get married. At 17.
But at 17, 18, you think you're grown.
You do. You do. But I regret that. But I really do. I wish I had stayed.
I take it that fella's not still with you.
I know. No, ma'am.
Nope.
No. But that's a journey.
Well,
And that's part of the journey.
that's a thread in the fabric of your life.
Yes, it is. So after then, I got divorced and
Were you just lost at that point?
well, I when I came back home, got married and ended up divorced and no children from that marriage. So that was good.
Yeah.
Praise God. After then, I started to work, trying to see what was my first job.
So you went straight into the workforce.
I did after then.
And you're
I
still
didn't go back to school then. Not
still just so young.
Yeah, I was still young. I think I went to work with my mom. She worked at American Laundry and Dry Cleaners.
Okay.
I think I went to work there. It was my first job.
Okay.
Stayed there for a while.
At least you're back in the fold of your family and your
Right.
friends. And
Yes. And I had my first child in 1980. No, 1980. 1975.
Okay.
Had 4 children.
Now that's the middle of the women's movement. And there weren't many kids being born about that time. So you kind of, went a different direction than a lot of women at that point. Did you just say, I'm ready for a baby? Or did
No.
the baby find you and you
The
said,
baby
I'm gonna...
found me.
Sometimes that happens. But what a blessing.
Yeah,
What a
the baby,
blessing.
she found me, but she didn't live long. She only
I'm
lived
sorry.
3 months. No, it was,
Oh, good gracious.
It's fine. She lived 3 months. She had a heart condition that was uncurable back then. I actually lost 2 children.
It's heartbreaking.
One at 3 months and older son at 21 in 1997. So I have 2 children that are still living, Nelson and Kaya.
2 here and 2 in heaven.
Yes,
So 4. 4 is good.
yes. And 4 grandkids.
That's awesome.
Yes, I love them.
That is great. Well, I'm sorry about the loss of your 2 so early.
Yeah, that's
As
part
a
of the
mother,
journey.
that's the greatest tragedy
Oh, I
you can
wouldn't.
face, and
It
times
is.
2.
Yeah, I wouldn't wish it on nobody.
No, of course not.
It's a hard place, but I thank God that He brought me through it.
It seems like such a simple question to ask. How does one get through?
Grief,
You can't avoid it, can you?
no, you can't. And I'm not gonna say it's easy because it's not easy. It's a hard thing, and especially children. I tell people that death is different in parents, siblings, and children. And to me, children is the worst. I've lost a father, still have my mom, but I lost a parent. But children is the devastating grief it is, because it's like a part of you,
It is.
and is a part of you,
Yeah.
which is no longer there in the flesh, and that is hard. But I thank God that for my first child, I didn't know God. Well, I knew Him, but I didn't know Him.
Well,
if
you
that
said
makes
you grew
sense.
up in the church.
Right,
so-
I grew up in the church, but I didn't have a relationship with God.
Personal.
Right, as I do now. because I was in my 20s back then and still wild and
Sure.
wild because, you know.
Bulletproof and invincible.
Yes, yeah, partying and,
Yeah.
you know, that was the life. So when I lost my first child, the only way I thought I could get through it was drinking to ease that pain.
A lot of people think that's
They do, but
because it just eases you for the moment.
just for the moment, because when you finish, that pain is still there.
Of course.
When you wake up, it's still there. It haven't gone anywhere.
Right.
So I had to refocus and get myself together, because if not, I could have been an alcoholic.
Right.
Easy. And I look at people and I thank God for ministry, because that is a part that He gave me to minister to women.
Yes. In particular.
Yes, that's dealing with the loss of children and find themselves in a bad place, because I've seen it happen.
You've walked that walk.
I have, and I've seen others that have drank themselves to death. Had a classmate that did it and it hurt me so bad, because it could have been me that did the same thing. My second child, I thank God that I did have a relationship with God. And even in that, it was still hard. But I still had God I could depend on. But it still was a process, because nobody ever know what you're going through when you're trying to be strong for everybody else. But then you got you that you don't have nobody to talk to. It was a point where I just wanted to give up, because I couldn't take it no more. It was just like something was just eating me on the inside, and I didn't know how to handle it, trying to be there for everybody else. But God directed me, and I'll never forget, did not know he was deceased until this year. Dr. Howell from Royston, Thomas Howell.
Thomas Howell from Royston. And what kind of doctor was he?
He was a counselor.
Oh,
He was a Christian counselor.
okay.
I ended up in
You
a
ended
Christian
up-
counselor.
Now, that's a reach, because that's probably not what you wanted to do.
But that's what I had to
Yeah.
if I wanted to survive.
Yeah.
God got a way of putting us in places that we need to be in. He knows when we done had about all we can take. I had remarried when my second child passed. So I ended up divorced and going through grief at the same time.
Oof.
And that's how I ended up with Dr. Howell.
It's a heavy
Was
load.
going to marriage counseling and grief counseling at the same time. And I thank God for him. I'm not lying. When I say I thank God for Dr. Howell, he actually helped me through to get to where I needed to get through, because he was a Christian counselor.
Wow.
And he was real good at what he did. I mean,
Wow.
and I tell people that, you know, I don't just go around sharing it. When God give me an opportunity to share, I let people know that it's okay. Sometimes we need extra help. When we can't make it by ourselves, instead of completely losing your mind, you have to get some help, because there are people in place to help you. So
That's what I think is such your greatest gift, is knowing what resources are there and having the heart to try to connect people to those.
Right. Yes.
As you were connected to Dr. Howell. Because a lot of people think, I'll just deal with it on my own.
Yes. They're embarrassed
Yeah.
to say they're going to counseling.
Yeah.
People think they're crazy.
Right.
I tell people, this thing is not about nobody else. This is about you surviving. You got to stop worrying about what other people think. You got to want to do what's best for you and your family, and especially if you got children. You got children to raise. If you're gone, who gonna raise them?
That's right.
So you have to think about what is best for you right now to get you where you need to be to survive. Because if not, you'll lose your mind. And literally, I thought I was losing my mind, and nobody didn't know it. Family didn't know it.
that?
I hid it well.
You just put a
They
smile
didn't even
on
know
your
I was
face.
going to counseling. They did not know.
You kept up appearances.
Because I had 2 children. I had 2 children that was 12 and 13 during that time. They was in middle school. So I had to be there for them the best I could. And it was hard.
I don't even know how you begin to do that. You shut a part of yourself off probably just to do what you have to do.
I had to.
And a lot of people think I'll just lock that part away. But it'll come back out, won't it? If you don't deal with it?
Yeah, it will. And it'll come back negative. So I had to deal with it because I knew I was falling apart on the inside. And I knew if I didn't get something, help, I didn't want to drink. I didn't want to do that. I did that with first baby. I didn't want to do that. I know God now. Yeah. So I'm asking him for direction. So this is where he directed me to. And I thank him for that every day. As I look back, I thank God for that.
You're a survivor.
And I was going to refer someone to Dr. Howell this year. Yeah. And that's how I found out he had passed away.
Oh, no.
I was, oh my God.
Oh.
But I helped her find somebody else to talk to. So, and I let people know it's okay. It's okay to seek professional help. That's why God have people in place. You know, he is our healer. He's our savior. He's our deliverer. But he have people in place too that can help us get to where we need to get to survive.
It's hard to ask for help, isn't it?
Yes, but sometimes we have to. We have to if we want to make it. Because some things we can't do on our own.
That's true.
So
when your kids were young, you were focused on being a mother. And then when they grew up and became adults, is that when you focused in on being the community resources coordinator, or
no, I was
pastor first, or?
No, I was employed with 9th District. Okay, let me back up because I was called into ministry in 1994.
Okay.
Yes, just started pastoring.
And what did that feel like when you say people say called into ministry and everybody nods like, but for you, how did that manifest?
Okay, when excuse me, when God called you into ministry is, what God did to me was, I don't know if you're familiar with Samuel, and when God called Samuel, he called him 3 times, and Eli told him the 3rd time to answer, say, God, here am I. God called me 3 times in the middle of the night. I was married then, and I heard my name, and I asked my husband, I was like, is you calling me? He sleep, like, no. So I, go back to sleep. I heard my name again.
You heard it?
Yes, I heard
amazing.
it. And I asked him again, I know somebody's calling my name. You calling me? No. And so the scripture came to me that the 3rd time your name is called, answer and say, here I am. And I did.
Wow.
And that's when he told me, I'm calling you into ministry.
So you're in the middle of the night.
In the middle of the night.
Pay attention, people.
In the middle of the night.
Things could come in the middle of the night.
And they can, seriously. That's why you have to know God's voice.
You do have to know God's voice.
Yes.
And it isn't, sometimes it's a process to try to figure out.
Yes, and it is.
Because for some people it's a feeling, for others it's a nudge, and for others it's an audible thing. So.
Right.
But you actually heard and the 3rd time you said, I better answer.
I better answer, and that's what I did.
Here am I, Lord.
Yes.
And then what? You woke up the next morning.
I woke up the next morning, I was still wondering, I'm like, now did this just happen?
Yeah, did I make that up? Did I dream that?
And I asked him, I'm like, did I talk to you last night about calling my name? So I was excited though.
Because you had a purpose.
Yes.
But did you know it was to be a pastor, or did you just know it was something?
I knew it was something. He told me specifically what it was then.
Okay.
Because he told me that you were going into ministry for young people and for hurting women.
Oh, wow.
That is what he told me.
That's pretty specific.
Yes, it was specific.
Yeah.
And I was excited because I knew what I had been through. Even in my 2nd marriage, I've been through drug abuse.
Oh dear, that's tough.
It was tough for a lot of years until enough was enough. And we had to just go. But that was during that time as well.
A lot of people struggle with that.
Yes.
Don't want to admit it.
And that was one thing that was part of ministry as well.
Really?
Is to help those families that's dealing with drug abuse. Because that is hard.
That is
real hard. It'll break up a family.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
And so you experience, is there somebody in the Bible that you identify most with? Because Job comes to mind. I mean, you've had a lot of trials.
Yes, I have.
A lot.
But I thank God he didn't leave me.
Right.
Because if he had left me, I don't know where I'd be lost. seriously. But after I accepted the call and excited, you know, the bubble can be broke in a minute. But that's a part of life too. You know, women weren't accepted into ministry as they are now.
That's right.
Back in the 90s or the 70s or the 80s or no, they was
Still
not.
within some denominations.
And even now, some of them are still not accepted into ministry. So that was a task. I was so excited. I'm going to go tell my pastor, oh, God called me in the ministry. But my bubble to get busted. Like, okay. So I took my little cell phone back to my house. It was like it was no, you know, like no care in the world. I was like,
I just shared something with
right,
you.
you're supposed to say something.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay, that's great. I'm excited for you. No, I didn't get that.
You didn't get that?
No, I got a turn down. I felt bad. I was like, you know what I did? I took my little hurt feelings, put them back in my pocket. And I said, okay, God, I say, you called me in the ministry, so I'm going to work ministry the best way I know how to work it. So I went to Athens Tech and took up early childhood development, the diploma program, to learn how to work with children. Because when God called you to do something, He equipped you to do it.
I wouldn't have thought about that for your ministry, but that's very smart.
I did it for what God called me to do because I need to know children. I needed to know if I'm going to work with children, I need to know about children. So I did. I went to Athens Tech for 2 years and graduated the diploma program in early childhood development. So I said, okay, God, I'll work in the church. I'll do what I can do to still do what you've asked me to do. And that's what I started doing until God stopped me after my second son died and said, that's not what I called you to do. I called you something greater. So it's time for you to do it.
Wow.
So that's when I went back to my pastor. And I talked with him. Well, I told God, God, you got to work this out for me. Because I've been hurt one time. I don't want to be hurt again. God worked it out. Then when I went back the second time, He accepted it.
Oh.
Yes,
So you
ma'am.
were able to,
And then I was licensed as a minister.
you were able to work within the church that you were already in.
Yes.
That's wonderful.
That's when Heart Initiative program was established. We formed an organization in the church that I was in. We offered a daycare during summer free to parents from 6 to 6 with no pay.
Unbelievable.
And 2 of us, we started that program.
Wow.
And the parents didn't have to pay not 1 cent for a whole summer.
That's a ministry with a capital M.
Yes. And I enjoyed that.
Wow.
So that was one organization. That was the first organization.
How many kids did you have?
We had about, I know we had over 30-something kids in that summer program. We fed them breakfast and lunch through the USDA summer food program.
Wow.
Sure did. I'll never forget that. That was the first organization I helped form.
That's amazing. All right, that's one. There's a lot more. Your story just amazes me. So, and this is in the wake of the grief for losing your child. As he stood on the precipice of an adulthood, that's different than losing a baby.
Yes.
That's hard.
Yes, when he passed away, memories from my first baby just flowed right back in.
Oh, I bet.
But just to watch him, he was on life support.
Oh, goodness.
From the time that he lived 2 weeks after the accident. He was in a car accident.
Oh, dear.
And he lived 2 weeks after the accident. He passed away November the 29th. Birthday, November the 23rd.
Oh, goodness.
Accident was November the 15th. So November sometimes is a hard month.
Yeah.
It is.
It's hard to give thanks at Thanksgiving when you're in between birthday and the day of his passing.
And my first baby passed in October, so those 2 months back to back, those 2 months are back to back.
Yeah, that's tough.
Get kind of hard.
Yeah.
But I thank God that He allowed me to get through them.
Yeah. And that, starting something for other people's children in the wake of that is just truly That's what God can do, though.
Yes, he can.
Wow.
He can. Even with help, that help. My other two kids, because we had a bunch of kids that we was involved in, and they was in middle school, so that even helped them to overcome.
Sure.
Their grief that they was dealing with. Because siblings go through some things too.
Oh gosh.
And they can react negatively.
Of course.
Which I saw some negative reaction coming from my two kids. But then as a parent, you want to protect them. You try to hover over them. See, because my thing was after my son passed from the accident, I wasn't going to let them get a car.
No.
They couldn't go nowhere. So my thing was, I'm just going to keep y'all right here. I don't want you out of my sight. I've lost 2 children.
Yeah.
I don't want to lose y'all.
No, I understand.
And then we put a shield around them, which is not helping. Because they going to want to get out of that shield. And they going to get out.
That's hard.
Yeah. So I had to learn how to let them go. I had to just let them grow up as teenagers. And that was hard.
Sure.
But I had to release them and let them live. Because I couldn't just protect them forever.
It's a lesson for parents.
And it is. Because sometimes we do that.
When you were working with the children, how did you start working with the women?
We would, even with the children, we had to talk to parents and even with the programs and I worked with a young lady that was employed with the rec department at that time as well, Sarita Jameson, which she had a program within the rec department, within Hydra, that's what it was. Hydra was working out of the rec department at that time. Okay. And Sarita and I, she had her organization and I had HIP, so we came together and worked with those kids. Okay. Together we would go on field trips with them. We would take them to Charleston, wherever, just to keep them involved. We would have dances for them. Because kids gonna dance, they gonna burn energy. Oh, yeah. So we would make sure that we would have at least once a month a dance at that rec department where they can just be kids. Yeah. I enjoyed that time because sometimes we want to shelter people too much, but kids got energy that they gonna turn loose somewhere. So it might well be an environment where they can be watched.
That's true.
So that program, and the parents had to be involved. With that program. And even with 9th District, I get a chance to talk to parents as well.
You do?
That comes in, yes. Even when they come in for one thing, they may think they're coming in for one thing, but God got something else that they're coming in for.
I bet you are helpful to them on a number of levels.
Yes, because one thing I know is that God placed me in that position at 9th District.
Now, as the community resource coordinator, do you go out in search of people to help, or do people come to you?
They come to us.
They come to you?
Yes, they come to us.
How do they know to come to you?
Well, we advertise. Most people know that we are there because it's been there for a while, because someone else, Faye Kite used to work in that office, and a couple of more other people in Hart County have worked in that office. So some people know the services are there. A lot of people don't. That's why you have to get involved in the community and go to these different meetings so people can know this is what is available in your county for your families.
So if they find themselves in need, they will know there is someplace to go, or if they know someone in need.
Right.
And so people come to you, and do you have a set of questions that you ask, or how do you help them? How do you know how to help them?
When they come, it's now it's by appointments, because when we first started, we was doing walk-ins. It was overwhelming.
Oh, really?
Yes, you just walk in and it was awful.
Oh boy.
It was bombarding. That drives you crazy. So we had to redo our how you get your appointment. So now everybody have to call.
Okay.
To get an appointment.
Okay.
We do an over-the-phone assessment. That means that you get information over the phone as to what they're in need of.
Okay.
And we assess the situation. Then we schedule the appointment for them to come in because they have to know what they need to bring in with them for the appointment.
Sure.
Yes, so
Imagine they have to have a lot of paperwork with
right.
them.
So we have questions that we do have to ask
Okay.
to see what's going on,
Yeah.
what it is that you're in need of.
As you said earlier, do you find that people sometimes come in thinking they need one thing, and then as you talk, something else is unveiled?
Right. Yes. Once they get in, because then we just have conversation. We don't just sit there and drill them with no question. We talk like me and you talking, and I'm pulling information from them as I'm talking to them, and they ain't got a clue.
They don't even know.
No.
And they
But
end
they're
up
telling me
you
things that
that
they
you need
need.
to know.
Right. Something else that they need that they didn't even come in for.
That they probably didn't know they could ask.
Right.
Yeah.
Correct. So that's
How do you keep track of all of the things, all of the resources available? It's constantly changing, isn't it?
it does. More likely the people change.
Okay.
You may have somebody in the office today, and next week they gone. You looking for that person.
They turned over, and it's somebody else. Oh boy.
But usually the resources are usually the same. They may update some, or some more may be added to it, because just like our agency, sometimes if we see funding that is out there and available, we can apply for it to help our community. So sometimes the resources can change,
Okay.
but it's to help, to do more
Yeah.
for the families in our area.
Okay.
But once again, that comes from partnering with the agencies in your community.
And that requires a lot of work too. Are you always going out and coordinating with them too?
We have meetings. We usually have meetings once a month. Just like with me, sometimes during the winter, I can't make all the meetings because that's our busiest time when we do the low energy home energy system program. So during the summers, when I do most of the meetings with the different agencies, because in the winter I'm pulled away, because we service, like I said, we service 13 of our service areas, plus I think it's 7 or 8 counties that we service from another agency doing housing and the energy system program. So we're kind of all over the place from November to May.
Wow.
Yes.
It's a busy season.
Yes, it's real busy. But other than that, we are partnering with the different, and we still make contact with the agencies. We all let each other know what we got going on.
Okay.
Just like when energy opens up, we always send them the information so they can post it in their place.
Sure.
So the clients can see when they come in. So we're always in contact with each other to know when things are updating, or when things are changing, or when this program ends, or when that program starts. So
this is a job that seems tailor-made for you, with your big heart for the community.
Thank you.
And that all of your experiences that you've had, that you probably are able to put yourself in the position of a lot of people.
Yes.
Where most people can't.
Right, and that's how I make it. I do, because God gives us a testimony to help somebody else. It's not for us; it's for the other person. And whenever I can make it available to them, I share.
That's great.
I've been single parent.
Yeah.
I've been through ups and downs.
Yes.
Been through some loss.
Yes.
Been through a whole lot of stuff.
Yes, you have.
And I let them know if I can make it, by the grace of God, you can too.
That's got to be inspirational to them, to have you, because you strike me as confident and strong.
Thank you.
And very capable. And a lot of people who come see you would probably feel so beaten down and so defeated.
That's all I'm gonna do.
And you can actually look them in the eye and say, I have been where you are.
Yes.
So that's quite a gift.
Right.
Well, you are an amazing woman, Ms. Gail. I just, would like to know more about what you're doing, and I'm glad that we got to spend an hour. And I'm glad that anybody that watches this will be blessed by seeing you and hearing your story.
Thank you.
So I thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
It's a fun hour. So thanks, everybody. We appreciate your time, and thanks, Wes Bailey and HeartCom, and we will see you again next week.